morning, dear students. Welcome back in the class. Today we have to start a very nice topic, and from the examination point of view, this topic is very important because I think every year either the full length question, sometimes a short notes question is put up from this topic. Even in practical life, this question is also important, and the topic related to is basically social stratification, right? So our today's discussion is on social stratification, right? This is the most important topic. In fact, we can say this is the core area of the sociology in terms of the discussion, right? So first we have to understand here that what is social stratification. First we have to discuss here that what is social stratification. Thereafter we shall have discussion on that different perspectives on social stratification. Sometimes question is also put up by UPSC whether social stratification is functional for the society or dysfunctional for the society, right? Sometimes question is put up on like comparison between Karl Marx and Max Weber, no? What is a Marxist approach on stratification and how the Weberian perspective is different from the Marxist approach. Sometimes comparison and contrast between the Marxist idea and Weberian ideas on the social stratification. Sometimes a question is on functionalist approach. In particular, the question basically put up on the Kingsley Davis and Wilbert Moore. And sometimes the criticisms of the Kingsley Davis and Wilbert Moore by the Melvin twins. So we can say a variety of questions are there. Different natures questions, different types questions, full length questions, short notes question. And therefore, from the examination point of view, damn sure I'm telling you, this topic can never be overlooked or this topic can never be basically skipped by the student. So let us begin. Let us have the synoptic view about what is social stratification. Okay, fine. The term here is stratification, but before that, how this topic can be approached, first we can say we can say here the meaning of stratification, meaning of social stratification, right? First we can say like this, meaning of social stratification. We can say features, of social stratification, and then finally we can say the perspectives. This part is more important, right? Perspectives. Again, the perspectives of social stratification. Many perspectives are there. Broadly, the three perspectives are very important for examination point of view that I am going to discuss with you. The first one is the functionalist. First one is the functionalist perspective, right? Or again and again, perspective not required to mention. First one is the functionalist. Second one is the Marxist, and third one is the Weberian, right? Weberian. Fourth one we can also say the feminist perspective, but feminist perspective is a least dominant in sociology, a least dominant trend. Now go for discussion one by one. Let us understand social stratification. What is social stratification? You know, the term stratification, basically the term stratification mainly derived or it is borrowed in sociology from the geology. In the geology, the term stratification, the term geology means simply the arrangement of layers, right? The word stratification in geology means simply the arrangement of layers. Done? Clear? So if the term arrangement of layers, now this term is borrowed in sociology. And in sociology, therefore, this term represents when we talk about, we can say arrangement of groups or different groups, arrangement of different groups into high and low social position, right? This is the meaning. So the term stratification in sociology is basically borrowed from the geology, where it is considered the arrangement of layers. Now in sociology, the term is basically understood in terms of how different groups in society, or how there is groupings in society, how the different groups are arranged in society. This is the basic understanding, right? So arrangement of layer, no? In terms of this one, high and low positions are basically considered. Now come to the definition, how the term stratification generated in sociology, where from borrowed, now clear. Come to the next one, then we can say how to understand social stratification. I think it's more appropriate to start from the word and observation of the P.A. Sorokin. The P.A. Sorokin, the Harvard sociologist, cultural sociologist, and he also witnessed the Bolshevik revolution in Russia, and how basically Russian society, Bolshevik revolution, and after that talked about creation of an egalitarian society, but again inequality was found over there. And so he gave the idea that humans have always dreamed about the formation of egalitarian society, the formation of an basically egalitarian society. But egalitarian society or equalitarian society, he says, man have always dreamed about an egalitarian society, but egalitarian society is a myth. क्या बोल रहे हैं वो? He says that egalitarian society is always a myth. Man have always dreamed about to formation of such a society, but it is always a dream. It means some forms of stratification, some forms of inequalities always exist in society or have been in existence since the ancient time. Okay, fine. So this term is okay. How P.A. Sorokin say that men have talked about creation of an egalitarian society, equal society, society based on equalitarian values, but actually in every society either one form or another form of inequality exists. One of such inequality is a social stratification. So social stratification is basically a form of inequality. Social stratification, therefore we can say that social stratification is a form of inequality. Many forms of inequality is a form of inequality. See, many forms of inequalities are found in the society. One such form of inequality is basically considered the social stratification. Clear? Fine. So we can say the social stratification means another meaning we can say social stratification means the presence of social stratification means presence of groups which are social stratification means the presence of groups which are ranked this is ranked on the basis of the power, prestige and wealth, right? This definition is a very simple definition but effective definition. Social stratification, when we talk about, means what? Means presence of groups or presence of different groups in society which are basically ranked. How? Ranked on the basis of their power, on the basis of their prestige, on the basis of their wealth, right? It means social stratification basically involves, this social stratification basically involves gradation of people, right? Gradation of people into high and low social order, right? Another definition, social stratification basically involves gradation of people into high and low social order. Okay, fine. So one definition is this one. Social stratification is a form of inequality. Second, social stratification means the presence of different groups in society which are ranked on the basis of the power, on the basis of prestige, on the basis of wealth, and therefore we can say social stratification involves a hierarchy. And therefore this involves the gradation of people into high and low social ranking and high or low the order. One more we can say that next word we can say that so last one. So social stratification basically involves ranking of people in terms of superior and inferior positions in society, right? Clear? Fine. So meaning is clear. First I told you social stratification is a form of inequality. Second, I told you social stratification basically involves the grouping of people or presence of groups in terms of the power, prestige, and in terms of wealth. Social stratification also involves gradation of people, and social stratification also we can say not only involves gradation of people in terms of high and low positions. Social stratification basically also involves sense of superiority and sense of inferiority. Just think about if some people who have the better life chances, some people have better opportunities, some people have the better life chances and some people have the better opportunities. Definitely they would consider themselves better compared to others. So social stratification is not only inequality, social stratification also involves sense of superiority, sense of inferiority. Now meaning is clear. So we can say from this point of view, we can say if we think about the features of social stratification, just broadly some features we can say. First of all, social stratification, when we talk about social stratification involves universal process, that you know. Universal process means stratification is found in every society, from the most primitive society to the modern society. Primitive society forms of stratification was different, medieval society forms of stratification was different, and today's society forms of stratification is different. Okay. So universal process, it means first, second, stratification exists since ancient time, right? Exists since ancient time, that needless to go for elaboration. Third most important thing is that stratification involves hierarchy. Stratification involves hierarchy. And hierarchy means, again I told you, gradation of people. Hierarchy means, suppose in India, when we talk about, suppose in the class, class we can say here upper class, class can be middle class, class can be lower class. This is the class based, class hierarchy, Class also involves hierarchy, though hierarchy is flexible. Second, when we talk about, think about the caste. Class is the term, here word is the caste, right? Caste system in India, or we can say like a Varna system in India. So when you talk about caste and class, see, because caste system operates within the framework of Varna system. That's why I'm telling you, otherwise you may have the confusion. So let me make clear before you that caste also involves, when you talk about the Varna. Today Varna system, when we talk about, then Brahmins, then Kshatriyas, then Vaishyas and Sudrana, involves stratification. Class is considered little bit open system of stratification, and Varna system is basically considered little bit rigid. In class system, the economic position is more important, but in the Varna system, the people's ranking is made, position is decided on the basis of their birth. So generally consider this is little bit more inflexible, more rigid system compared to the class system. So Varna system, and therefore from here the caste system generated. So caste operates within the framework of Varna system, also involves hierarchy. Again, stratification involves inequality. Social stratification also involves inequality or equal distribution. Involves inequality or unequal distribution of the resources, power, prestige according to the ranking of people sometimes. This one. Again, when we talk about here the similar life chances of people of similar class, or position, right? Generally you find those people who belong to one class, who belong to one position, one ranking, almost they have the similar chances, like middle class, upper class, middle class and lower class. When we talk about life chances of upper class is much higher, less compared to that middle class. Lower class, because there's all people from the lower class, because having their similar positions in society, they would have almost a similar lifestyle and similar life chances as per Max Weber. Now, so social stratification is clear. First meaning clear, what is social stratification? And now, what are the features of social stratification? Come to the next. Sometimes a distinction is made between the social stratification and social differentiation. Sociologists say that social stratification basically involves a ranking of people into high and low positions. Social stratification involves hierarchy and inequality. So social stratification is a vertical arrangement of people. But social differentiation means a differentiation among the people, division among the people on horizontal basis, sometimes separately. Dipankar Gupta, renowned sociologist and a scholar of sociology, the Honorable Gupta held or argues that social stratification is a little bit different from social differentiation, but both are closely connected, right? So simply, social stratification means hierarchical arrangement, social stratification means inequality, and social differentiation means when we try to differentiate people, divide people on the basis of the cultural identity, maybe language, maybe sometimes ethnic identity, maybe religious identity, sometimes on biological basis, sometimes on cultural basis, sometimes on the geographical basis, and some other such features are there. Now, so this is considered like some people can be more the height taller and less taller. Again, this is social differentiation. Man, woman, social differentiation. Hindu, Muslim, social differentiation, right? So social differentiation means not stratification, but Weber would also say, Dipankar Gupta would also say, but social differentiation is a horizontal division, not vertical. But sometimes the features of social differentiation is also used for the purpose of stratification. So in society, unfortunately, social differentiation is also closely connected to social stratification. Clear? Done? I just told you what is social stratification. I told you the features of social stratification. Thereafter, I told you a basic difference between the social stratification and social differentiation. Now, when we talk about the theories or perspectives social stratification, first I told you broadly it can be classified into three areas I am talking about. No? One is the functionalist, one is the Marxist, and one is the Weberian. So three forms, three people I am talking about, three perspectives. Functionalist, see, in sociology, functionalist and Marxist approach or conflict approach are the two dominant approaches in sociology to understand everything. including social stratification. So functionalist approach, when we talk about, mainly it is based upon the idea of functionalism. And what is a functionalism? Functionalism simply says society is made of different parts and the parts are interrelated and interconnected. So they are interdependent. Therefore, function of any part, element of any part of the social structure is to be understood in terms of what contribution it makes in the maintenance of the entire system, the whole system. So functionalist, mainly here the person is a Talcott Parsons, one. Another person is a, that we can say, Kingsley Davis and Wilbert Moore, right? Kingsley Davis and Wilbert Moore, two people are there. Their idea is very important. See, Talcott Parsons simply says, social stratification simply says that in this way, the functionalist, they said that every society has some basic functional prerequisites or functional imperatives. Every society has some needs, necessary condition for existence. So that must be fulfilled. So if any society has to exist, its functional imperative, functional needs must be fulfilled. Otherwise, society cannot survive. So stratification system should also be understood in terms of how it contributes in this regard. Talcott Parsons, suppose first person, he says social stratification is a functional and inevitable in society. It is inevitable because it is derived from the shared values of society, and it is the functional because it tries to integrate different sections of society by providing different reward system. Kingsley Davis and Moore again develop same ideas. Every society, there are some functional needs, there are functional requirements must be fulfilled if society has to survive. One such functional need is a role allocation and role performance. Role allocation means effective role allocation and its performance in the society. So all roles are not similar, not equal. Some roles in society are functionally more important than others. Like maybe IS job is more important than the job of a clerk, as they would say. So some jobs are more important, some roles are more important compared to others. Those roles which are more important must be fulfilled by the most competent person. So stratification system should be understood in terms of how it contributes in the role allocation and role performance in the society. So the stratification means differential reward system should be given to the people. Differential reward system should be given to the people so that those who basically required for the higher post, they will be motivated to come for this purpose. Because those who are going to the higher post to fulfill the most important role, they go for long training, the higher education, more investment for education. So this requires more sacrifice. So if differential reward is given, then people will be motivated because the talent in society is not very much. Talent is not dispersed. Few people have the talented people in society. So such people will come forward. So it's a way to motivate for such the functionally most important position in the society. That is why it is given. Clear? Fine. So as per functionalist, social stratification is functional for society because it is inevitable and it is important for the motivation of the most talented people for most responsible role in the society. That's all about it. Marxists, just alternative to functionalist. Marxists say that social stratification is a device to divide the people in society and go for exploitation. So it provides a radical alternative to the functionalist. Holding that social stratification is basically divisive and social stratification is also considered exploitative. Through the social stratification, the power, position, prestige in society are unequally distributed. And those who are at higher position in the stratification system, they maintain dominance in society. and they exploit the others. नीचे वालों को ना, those who are the bottom level, they are exploited in the process. So stratification system is harmful because stratification system benefit one class of people who are always in minority, but they control entire forces of production. And the vast majority of people, sometimes unorganized people, and therefore they are in helpless condition. So this is the instrument of exploitation and creating permanent or perpetuating inequality. Even the Oxfam report recently considered that in India, a very few section of society, like around 1-2% of people control around 30-35% resources, bottom 10% people are no resource. This is the inequality. So Marxists try to highlight how stratification system creates inequality, justify inequality, how it creates dominance of class of people. Therefore, stratification must go. How it will go? The solution is only in a communist society, that will be a classless society. In that classless society, there will be collective ownership of forces of production and all section of society there. So only two classes exist in society. Always the ownership class and the another one is the non-ownership class. So two classes, ownership and non-ownership. Ownership class has power, higher status, higher economic position, and therefore they have the dominance. And the non-ownership class only have the labor force that they work, so they survive. If they don't work, they will not be able to eat up. And this class is under always tough condition, challenging condition, and therefore this is unequal system. So stratification is not functional. Stratification is a dysfunctional, harmful, divisive, exploitative as per the Marxist. अब आते हैं third one, Weberian perspective ना. Weberian perspective of social stratification. See, Weber idea, I think, consider more competent in the present context, so far as I can understand, right? Weber, basically, his study of stratification is based on the observation of the industrial society, right? In one respect, Weber also influenced by Karl Marx. When Karl Marx say economic factor is the main determinant of stratification and class formation, Weber also agree up to one level. But Weber also say that in the modern society, we know that we need more skills, more knowledge. We have knowledge economy. So we have the white collar workers. So nature of jobs have changed. So we cannot say that only the economic factor is the basis of stratification. So partly he agrees with the Karl Marx, but partly he makes significant departure from the Karl Marx in the matter of social stratification. Let me finish in 2 minutes. So when we talk about Weber idea, Weber on stratification, yeah, we can say Weberian perspective, like Weberian perspective. When we talk about the Weber, first Weber say that Weber also tried to talk about the class, right? And Weber say class is a modern phenomenon. Karl Marx say class since ancient time. Weber said no, class since ancient time means except primitive communism. Weber said no, class have no historical existence. Class is a modern phenomenon. Class is the product of the industrial society. Rise of industrialization, urbanization led to the emergence of classes. So he defines class means simply, very simple definition, means a group of people having similar position, not same, having similar position in market economy. So Weber say that class can best be understood in terms of market framework in industrial society, and a class is basically, who is a class? A class means a group of people having similar position in the market economy. So one class of people having similar position in the market economy, another class similar position in the market economy. And because they have the similar position in the market economy, तो क्या होगा यहाँ पर? They will have the similar life chances, no? Similar class, similar life chances, similar class, so they would have the similar life chances. So Weber would say A class is a group of people having the similar market position. By virtue of that, they enjoy similar life chances, similar situation, right? And Weber talks about both economic and non-economic factor as the formation of class. And Weber talked about basically in industrial society, class cannot be defined only in terms of the ownership and non-ownership. Right? There are some other classes. How can you define in a very like a simplistic assumption that one class owner, non-owner? Sometimes another class is there. That is though not ownership class but very powerful. Sometimes the lower level ownership class. So Weber talked about the four classes. First, Weber talked about the propertied class. The propertied class. Now, second, Weber talked about this is I'm focusing on the white collar workers. The white collar workers means the propertyless white collar workers. Here we can mention the propertyless white collar workers. And third, the petty bourgeoisie, right? Petty matlab small. Petty means small. The petty bourgeoisie. The petty bourgeoisie, right? And fourth one, Weber talks about the manual working class. Manual working class, right? So clear from the above, Weber talked about this class, propertied class, smaller in size. They control economy, industry. Weber main focus was on this, the property-less white-collar workers. And today this class is considered, broadly we can say, middle class. This class is the middle class. There is a huge rise of the middle class today. And this rise of the middle class is because of the expansion of the industry, the service sector, industrial sector, right? And so Weber say middle class. Karl Marx talked about middle class will go down. Only two classes left. Weber कहते हैं no. Rather than decline, middle class is on rise. So Weber's idea is considered more relevant to understand the existence of classes and stratification today compared to Karl Marx. Though Karl Marx concept is also important because it gives critical views to understand the capitalist society. So this way I told you what is the class now. So this is the way the stratification found. Now, apart from the class, Weber also talked about two more things. Weber talked about the status and Weber talked about the power. So Weber say, Karl Marx told those having the higher class position, higher economic position, higher status and more power in their hand. So the symmetrical view, higher class position, higher status, higher power. Weber say, no. Not necessary that those having the higher class position would always have higher power. Okay, Weber in his concept of class, status and power. Weber also authored a book, Class, Status and Party. So Weber in his book, Class, Status and Party, Weber tried to say sometimes three are closely connected but also different. Sometimes a person may not have higher economic status, but that person higher economic position, but may have the higher social status. Like in India, if you think about the Brahmin caste, traditionally, though Brahmin may be poor, but their social status is higher sometimes compared to a wealthy person from the lower caste. This is the matter. So status is different. Sometimes within the same class, there can be different status group. Like Margaret Stacey has given the idea that within the working class, if the person found that the respectable working class, ordinary working class and rough working class. So within working class, three status group. Again, in democracy, power is concentrated in the hand of political parties. So parties exercise the power. So Weber contradicts Karl Marx's idea. No, today we cannot say that higher class, higher status, higher power. Yes, it is found, but every time not. Sometimes a status and power can be two other distinct forms of stratification, and sometimes it is more found in the traditional society because traditional society is status based. So in this way, I just tried to summarize before you functionalist theory. They have justification for stratification because it is functional and inevitable for society. Marxist, harmful for society. Weber is also critical, but somehow Weber also appreciate in some respect also. And this is the way the social stratification has been understood by thinkers. Na? So last conclusive word is there, that social stratification is a division of people in society in terms of high and low position. And my conclusion would be from giving the idea of T.B. Baltimore. So T.B. Baltimore says that in every society there are stratification, and he talks about different forms of stratification. So he talks about different forms of stratification. Stratification is found in every society, and talked about different forms of stratification, and he talked about 4 different forms of stratification. One is the slavery system. Sometimes it comes in short notes, slavery system. Second, we can say that is the caste, the state system. Third, we can say the caste system. And fourth one is the class system, right? These are the slavery, state, caste and class. These are the different forms of stratification. Here caste means also related to a status. Caste is a status group. So in ancient time there was slavery system, Roman Greek time, then state system, medieval time, French society, 3 state was there, prevalence. Caste system in India since ancient time, even by now, though we have the Caste Disability Removal Act, and the class system is the modern feature. So stratification has always been the part of human society, though human always trying to make an equal society, but even today stratification exists, and therefore stratification is very important topic from our examination point of view, even for policy makers, how to create equality, how to create justice. This is all about the topic. I think valuable information I try to give to all of you within a short span of time. Thank you very much to all of you. Hopefully meet you again. Thank you. Take care. Have a good day.